What is going on, Player Profiler Nation? Welcome to the latest episode of The Game Plan. I am your host, of course, the authentic one, Mr. Matty Kiwoom, and I'm joined by the analytic whiz himself, the mind behind the numbers you see at playerprofiler.com, my man, Evan Ringler. Evan, what's going on, brother?
What's good, Matty? It's glad to be back. Glad to be in the fantasy playoffs. Let's get it, baby.
Ooh, week 15 is here. We are now in the fantasy postseason. So, Evan and I got together. We talked about it. We're going to do the same 2 segments each week because what we want to make sure that if you're here, you're tuning in, you're rocking with us, that we got you dialed in, ready to go for your playoff matchup. So we're going to talk about some matchups that we're going to be targeting or avoiding and talking about why. And then we're going to do a little bit of a prediction game. I'm calling it 3 burning questions or whatever it is. But it's week 15. We're going to talk about some streamers, some avoids, and, of course, our bold take of the week. So we're going to hit it all this episode. Again, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the Player Profiler YouTube channel. Leave a comment. Who is your favorite, or what is your favorite matchup in week 15 as we get ready for the fantasy playoffs? And, of course, we're going to get to your questions. We're going to make sure that we save a whole lot of time at the end of the show to get to every single question, every start sit, every lineup decision, whatever you got, we are going to answer it at the end of the show. But if you don't want to wait, you don't have to. Go ahead and leave a super chat. You will jump to the front of the line, and we will get right into it. So, folks, get out your pens, get out your pads. Let's get game planning to dominate our Week 15 matchups, a.k.a. the first round of the fantasy playoffs. Snoochie boochies, baby. Let's get into it. So we got our first playoff matchup. So it's going to be some avoids, targets, whatever. We just want to make sure we shed a big picture light on the matchup. Maybe you can get some decisions from our analysis there. So, Evan, what is the first matchup you'd like to talk about in Week 15?
I want to avoid all Colts pass catchers if possible.
Okay.
So the Colts, without Daniel Jones, head to Seattle this week to face one of the league's best defenses, if not the best defense. And even with Daniel Jones in the lineup, the Colts had fallen off dramatically over the last month or so, scoring a lot fewer points, not as many touchdowns, which really hurts us for fantasy. And now either Riley Leonard or 44-year-old Phillip Rivers is going to be behind center, which is a significant downgrade, even from Daniel Jones with a broken leg. This is also an ambiguous room of pass catchers. There's 4 good ones, and that's not even including Jonathan Taylor. It's impossible to know which of those 4s that we can trust on a week-to-week basis. I wouldn't be surprised if either Tyler Warren or Michael Pittman is usable this week when we look back at it, but I just would not trust them until I actually see it with the new quarterback.
New quarterback. I'm looking at your Week 15 rankings over at playerprofiler.com. I don't see the name I think we're all expecting to potentially see this weekend. Phillip Rivers, signed by the Indianapolis Colts, 44 years young, grandfather, legitimate grandfather. If he is indeed the starter, what is we know that's terrible for the pass catchers, but what's his ceiling? I mean, we're going to see a lot of Phillip Rivers fab, thrown out these next couple of days. What is the realistic outcome of a 44-year-old quarterback who hasn't played since 2021 stepping in, helping this offense?
Yeah, so we'll see who actually ends up starting. I wouldn't be shocked at all if it was Riley Leonard, who was a full participant in today's practice, I believe. So right now I have Leonard in there as the quarterback 32, so the very last one. If Rivers was in there, I think I might move him up to quarterback 30, maybe 29 at the high end. Kind of like we're only starting this guy in the most desperate situations. There is no floor at all. We shouldn't be shocked if he goes out there and throws 4 picks against Seattle. It could be a disaster.
Yeah, but it's also saying, I think, it's saying volumes about the offense as a whole when the starting quarterback is the 32nd in your rankings and a 44-year-old off the street. As good as he was in his prime, doesn't really matter, but as good as he was, moving him up means this situation is bad any which way you dice it up. So I think avoiding the pass catchers for that
I would
the Colts
say
makes sense.
I would say that if it's Rivers instead of Leonard, then maybe I feel comfortable starting Tyler Warren as opposed to nobody.
Hmm.
Because I'm just so out on Riley Leonard versus this Seattle defense. I mean, Riley Leonard couldn't throw the ball in college, so I just don't see how it's going to work against one of the best defenses in the world.
My avoid. I'll start with that too, since we're on the negative side of things. We'll pick it up. So stick around. You want to hear some of the more optimistic outcomes, but I'm going to start with avoid. I am avoiding the Cleveland Browns Chicago Bears matchup. But more importantly, I am avoiding the pass catchers and the quarterback and the running backs and the tight ends of the Bears. I'm not excited to play anyone. We have an over/under of 38.5. The Bears are over a touchdown favorite at home, so maybe you're okay with a Monangai or a Swift. But I look at this lineup here, and I just look at the defense of the Browns, and I say to myself, the Browns are good against the pass. They're really good against the run, like diabolical against the run, and they get after the quarterback. These are all the makings of what holds back Caleb Williams and what holds back this offense as a whole. And then, Roma Dunze was injured last week. What percentage is he healthy coming into this matchup? DJ Moore, done and dusted. I love DJ Moore. You will not find a bigger fan of DJ Moore than myself, but he is DUN for us fantasy managers. No Roma Dunze, 0.6 fantasy points. Luther Burden was okay with 11 last week. Colson Loveland caught the touchdown, but there's just no volume to really sink your teeth into. And really what we have for volume has been split almost 50-50 with the running back. So if we're talking about a defensive unit that has been staunch against the run, I don't want to play the running backs that are splitting up that pie. So for me, I am just an avoid. And plus, if you've been playing fantasy long enough, you know this to be factually correct. The Bears at home in the fantasy playoffs is an absolute nightmare. And you look at the calendar, and there it is. Wind. Obviously, it's Chicago, but big wins. So I just want to avoid all the offensive unit of the Bears. This matchup has a absolute dud written all over it.
You know what, Maddie? I actually had this as one of mine. So we're on the same page here. I had specifically avoid all the pass catchers in this game. So this game is currently projected to be around 12 degrees at kickoff with 13-mile-an-hour winds. Both of these passing offenses, the Bears and the Browns, are very inconsistent, but both teams want to run the ball. They really do want to run the ball. I'm expecting a very run-heavy, low-scoring game with very little passing volume. You never know, there could be a chance that Luther Burden takes one to the house or Jerry Jeudy has a long touchdown, but you just cannot count on that this week especially. This is not a game environment I want to be targeting. The one exception might be Harold Fannin. I still don't feel that great about that one, but at least we know that he's going to get a large share of the targets there. Just can't count on them actually being converted into catches and yards. So I'm suspect on all pass catchers in this game. I will go against you a little bit on the running backs. I think that the volume is just going to be so high, especially for Judkins, that I'm going to have him as like a top 12 play for me this week, just because I think he's going to get like 25 carries against a pretty mediocre Bears running defense.
That's a good call. That's important to bring up. If there were to be a running back in this game that I could get excited about, would be Judkins over Swift, Judkins over Monangai. Because right, the volume will be there. The threat isn't too bad, but also let's call a spade a spade. Judkins has been a bust lately.
Yeah.
Quinshawn has been an absolute buster lately. So this game just has a AVOID. Just avoid. Did I spell that right? I think I spelled that right. Yes, I did. Bingo. Bam. All right. We got a couple super chats, so let's get to it. Again, if you want to cut the line, you don't want to wait to the end of the show, drop a super chat, and we will dive right in. Full point PPR, 0.2, not point, that's a period. 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex. Achane, Henderson, Hampton, Judkins, Gainwell, Monangai at receiver, Jetta, Jennings, Egbuka, Tet. And then we have Mariota or T-Law. So, we have to set my man's lineup. He's leaving us super chats. The least we could do. Let's set this man's lineup.
Let's do it. Obviously a big week to set his lineup. So appreciate the opportunity here. I think that Achan is a set and forget starter.
No doubt.
Of course, it's not 100% that he plays, but it does look very good. So I'm just going to say Achan's a starter. I have Henderson as a clear starter here as well, over the rest of those running backs. When we go to the receivers, not a lot that I feel great about, I'll be honest, but I am going to roll with Jefferson and Tet McMillan. And then the flex, I'll go with Judkins out of that. And then the quarterback, I like, who do I have higher? T-Law.
You have him back-to-back in your rankings.
Yeah, I have Mariota one spot above. So I'll go with Mariota. I love the matchup there. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Do you disagree with any of that?
No, I don't, because I'm going to go with Mariota. I'm going to talk about this matchup. I'm going to use it perfectly to roll right into it after we get through these super chats.
Me too.
So I love the matchup. Oh, so we were on. We it's funny. I was like, it's okay if we have overlap. We'll just dive into the numbers. We'll get really into it. But maybe we should have. But I think it's important for people listening to understand, like, if we really like a matchup, it says volumes. We're not just picking random matchups. We are really kind of talking about what we feel, what our research tells us. But when you're talking about setting the lineup, I don't disagree anywhere. I like Jefferson. I'm going to talk about him a ton later. The Judkins pick, I'm in on that. I will say this about the wide receivers. I'm good with Tet. Egbuka on your bench is going to make you feel a little queasy, but I'm okay with it. We're going to have McMillan back. Yeah. We're going to have Mike Evans back. 4 receivers back on a Thursday night. Nothing worse, people, than staring at a Thursday dud in the playoffs. Nothing.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about
doing it.
We're going to be talking about Egbuka a little later, but I'm really fading him this week.
All right, so we got this line. Let's set it in stone at quarterback. We're going Mariota over T-Law. Yep. Just a better matchup. Just a way better matchup, and I think this game has sneaky shootout appeal. Absolutely. Vegas also agrees. So we're going to go Tet at running back. We're going Achan, and we are going with Judkins, right?
And Henderson.
And then Henderson the flex, right? Henderson the flex, so 3 running backs. And the 2 receivers being Jefferson and where am I drawing? Like Tet. I was losing it there. Mm-hmm. But let's answer this last question real quick because we do appreciate the super chats. If Achan is out, is it Jalen Wright or Gainwell?
If Achan's out, I think I'd just start Henderson and Judkins at running back and then slide in either Jennings or Egbuka, whichever one you fancy. I have Jennings actually ranked higher. So I would go that route. Although, actually, I don't know. Gainwell is very interesting this week.
Yeah. I think, for me, Gainwell over Wright with Achan out. I'm going to go with that because it's one thing when a guy leaves during the game, and you can attest to this. I think the numbers kind of spell it out. When a guy leaves in the middle of a contest, we kind of run the hot hand. If a guy is ruled out, a game plan can be set in when we see more splits. So if Achan is out, I don't think we see 25 rushes for Jalen Wright like we did last week.
Probably not. Yeah, they really like Ollie Gordon. I would expect them to give him some real run for sure. Gainwell has just got an absurd receiving volume over the past few weeks, especially.
Absurd, yeah.
So I'm going to pivot and say that I'll go with Gainwell over the Jennings or Egbuka.
Half-point PPR need 2 Tet McMillan, Christian Watson, or Egbuka. Also need 3 out of Dowdle, Warren, Ginty, Gibbs. So let's start with the wide receivers. Which one are we benching? And then we will bench one of these running backs. So who are we benching of the receivers?
I am benching Egbuka in this. I have, for a little transparency here, I have McMillan at wide receiver 19. Watson in a bad matchup, I still have the wide receiver 23, and then Egbuka down at wide receiver 33.
I completely agree there. And then which one of these running backs are you benching?
Dowdle, Warren, Ginty. Okay, it comes down to Dowdle or Warren. Let's see. I have Warren actually ranked significantly ahead of Dowdle right now. I'm worried about that 50-50 split in that Panthers backfield over the last 2 games is really scaring me. The juice hasn't really been there to the same degree for Dowdle either. So would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And when you just kind of follow the money, follow the paper trail, they signed Hubbard to be around. They didn't sign Dowdle. Dowdle's a one-year guy. He could be out the door after this year. It was just tough for Dave Canales to justify benching him when he was going absolutely bananas. But
Yeah.
now that he's not, and Hubbard has actually been more electric, he has actually
Right.
looked
Right.
fresher in must-win games for the Panthers, who are trying to capture that NFC South title. I don't love the Dowdle play. I've been reluctantly putting him back in some lineups, more in a flex role. So yeah, I'm okay benching Dowdle. I want that Monday night final say for Warren. And we've just seen so much volume in the passing game go to the running backs, whether it be Warren and Gainwell, that I just don't want to mess with it in the matchups. I mean, how long have we been talking about getting Warren on your playoff-ready rosters? And now that we're in the playoffs, we're going to bench him? No, we're not.
Yeah,
We
and
are not.
that Monday night game, Miami in Pittsburgh, that it's supposed to be pretty bad weather. So I like the running backs in that game quite a bit.
All right, so we got that settled. All right, let's get into the next playoff matchup. I will be targeting everyone in the Commanders and Giants game. This
yeah.
is the game for me that I will play the random guy off the waiver wire. If you are just stuck and you made the playoffs and yet you just didn't get all your players healthy into the playoffs, this is where I want to play a Slayton. This is where I want to play a Noah Brown. This is where I might play a Ben Sinnott. This is maybe where I picked up a guy like Theo Johnson, who could have been dropped in redraft because he was on a bye last week. All the ancillary players are the guys I am looking to attack from this particular game. These are these are my streaming options. These are the guys I want. If I just didn't have a QB2 in Superflex, Mariota, picking him right back up, baby, put him right back in the lineup. This is the matchup I want to target. 47.5 over under. Vegas projects it to be a close game, 2.5 point spread, which means a lot of back and forth haymakers. And we talked about loving Deebo Samuel a few episodes ago because of the schedule. Terry McLaurin has looked a little bit better than I would have anticipated at this juncture. I know last week, throw everything out, it was just a complete train wreck against the Vikings, which we did kind of call, if you remember last week's episode. So for me, this matchup, I love it. I don't care that it's in New York. Maybe not be the best of weather, but I just feel like the quarterbacks are mobile. They're frisky enough to keep this game shootout. And both of these teams, they're just really trying to get any bit of momentum going into 2026. They're both stone cold losers, 5 wins between the two. Neither one of them wanted to be in this position. Both teams are looking to be better next year. Must-win games is a tough term when there's 3-11 versus 3-10 versus 2-11. But I think this is just a must-win for the clubhouse. So I like this game. I think it's going to shoot out. I like the over in this game. So this is the game for me. This is a matchup I am targeting if I need to win on the margins in my fantasy playoffs.
Maddie, we are in a total mind meld this week. This is beautiful. I had as my next one I was going to bring up target all Commanders versus the Giants defense, and then a little later I have a Giant as my streamer coming up soon.
I have a Commander as my streamer of the week, so we are cooking.
We are cooking with gas, baby. So my reasoning that I brought to the table. So this Giants defense, it is horrible. It's actually worse than the Cowboys defense, which we've been talking about all year as being garbage. The Giants defense is even worse. Against the run, they're not just the worst defense in the NFL, but they are literally 3 times worse than the next team in terms of EPA per rush. It's that bad. Against the pass, they're 26th in EPA per dropback. And in fantasy, they allow the 4th most points to quarterbacks, the 2nd most to running backs, and the 3rd most to wide receivers. I'm starting Mariota this week. I'm starting Chris Rodriguez definitely this week. I'm starting McLaurin and Deebo this week as well. Great spot for the Commanders. And we'll get to the Giants a little later as well.
So if you go to NFL, they like to, obviously rank team defenses in a few different categories. But I'm just going to read off a few here. So just looking at general defensive metrics, talking about passing efficiencies, rushing efficiencies on the defensive side, and pressure rates. 6 total numbers from 2 different teams. You want to know what the highest ranked aspect of these 2 defenses is?
I'm going to guess like 25.
You are damn close. It's 19, and it's actually the Commanders' pressure rate, which we know is, I think that's a bit not, I don't think their defense.
It's not a great stat.
It's not a great stat. So we're talking about a lot of 19s, 25s, 30 seconds, as you mentioned. I mean, these defenses stink. So, yeah, you're looking to to attack this matchup, as am I. And the last matchup we're going to talk about might surprise you, Evan. So I'm excited to get your thoughts on it. I am breaking ties against the players in the New England Patriots Buffalo Bills game.
Ooh.
I'm playing the studs, Allen, Cook, Diggs, May, but I don't like Henry. I don't want to go after Kincaid or Shakir. I'm trying to make other arrangements for these other players. The over-under 50.5. I am smashing the under. I am destroying the under. This will be the second time they play. This is a statement game for both squads. And the weather at Foxborough this weekend looks bad. Real bad. Wet, cold, windy. A true New England, Northeast football game. So I'm expecting a lot of rushes, a lot of good defensive plays. Now, sure, could these quarterbacks completely throw it right back in my face? Yeah, they could. They're that good. But if they do, I think I'm okay with just, again, playing the obvious. I'm okay with Diggs. I'm okay with May. I'm okay with Allen. I'm okay with Cook. But after that, I'm just not all that excited about it. I just don't love the possibility of this game shooting out. Now, earlier in the year, they played each other, and they didn't disappoint. That primetime game for the 2-2, they didn't disappoint for us fantasy gamers. But I think at this juncture, we see these divisional games slow down considerably. They've played each other before. A lot is at stake. They're familiar. And at this point, it's cold in the AFC East. These matchups really tend to slow down. So for me, I know it sounds crazy in a game that has the highest or second highest over-under on the slate. I'm breaking ties against this matchup.
I think this is a great point to talk about. Obviously, this is a super important game for fantasy. If you have the quarterbacks, you're starting May, you're starting Allen, no doubt about it. The running backs, Henderson and Cook, I still like both of them. They're both getting good volume, and it should be a run-first game script, I would think, for both teams. The receivers, both of these receiving rooms are shit shows. It's impossible to know who to trust on a given week, but I do really like Steph Diggs in the revenge game. He crushed Buffalo earlier in the season. I think he's going to do it again, despite an underwhelming recent performance. I like Diggs. I can't list another receiver in this game that I'm all in favor of starting. Mm-hmm. Shakir, maybe if you have to. Besides that, I'm out. And then the tight ends, I'm a little bit more in on Kincaid than I am on Henry. The Bills are a very good defense versus the tight end, so I want to stay away from Henry this week. Kincaid, if you have to, I think is okay. So that's kind of my summary of the players in this game.
I would love Travion. I would. But since Ramondre has come back, we've seen him come back down to earth, and he's still been good. I mean, if he's your running back too, well, that's fine. Unless you have if you've just kind of cashed in on somebody else that's really emerged late, like a Blake Corum. But I think you need to be expecting that 10 to 12 fantasy points and not the 15 to 18 with that split, because they're going right back to Ramondre through hell or high water. They're bringing Ramondre right back into the fold when he was healthy. So some matchups, we are lockstep on a few of them. We are avoiding a lot that's going on in the Cleveland Browns and Chicago Bears game. We're very excited about the Commanders versus the Giants game. I'm a little bit more nervous about the Patriots game than you, and then you were down on, which is the last game you
Colts.
were down on? The Colts. How could you forget the Colts? They are in dire straits right now. So that's it. We're going to break down some playoff matchups. Again, if you want your personal questions or your lineup questions answered, stick around. We will get to every single one at the end of the show, or you can leave that super chat, and we'll get you to the front of the line. But we got some Week 15 predictions coming right up.
So let's put our hoodie on, and let's talk about Player Profiler's DFS Dominator. It has a cash game optimizer that leverages the projections from Billy and Bradley and Evan and that Player Profiler AI engine to create cash game lineups that certainly have a high floor, but also give you that ceiling. Now, you've probably heard about the most powerful tool of all, our Lineup Genius. We know winning GPPs requires a completely different approach, which is why our Lineup Genius takes you through the process of selecting the quarterbacks in the juiciest matchups. Then it highlights the stacks and runbacks that are available available, lets you pick the chalk level, lets you pick the level of correlation with a number of other proprietary settings available to you. Click a button and it generates hundreds of lineups to be imported into FanDuel and DraftKings. And it's just $45 a year, not a week, a year. So go fight fire with a player profiler DFS Dominator.
Week 15 predictions or 3 burning questions, whichever. We got 3. We got the streamer of the week, the landmine of the week, and our bold take, bold prediction, whatever you want to call it, for week 15, a.k.a. the quarterfinals, a.k.a. the first round of the fantasy football playoffs. Give it up, people. Evan, give us your streamer of the week.
I ended up settling on Darius Slayton versus the Commanders. We just talked about this great game environment that we expect this to be. I was bouncing between Slayton and Hodgins here, who have had very similar usage recently, but I ended up favoring Slayton because I just trust the track record a little bit more. I think he's got a little bit more big play upside. This is just the exact game you want to be targeting for your streamers. Both defenses are horrible. Both offenses are pretty good, or competent at least. The Commanders have the worst pass defense in football, so I really like Hodgins and Slayton here. They're both solid streamers this week. I lean Slayton for the reasons I mentioned, but Hodgins works as well.
Yeah, the thing about Hodgins, he just completely disappeared right before the bye. That Patriots game, he was a 0. Yeah. So I think if you're deciding between the two, I agree. I think Slayton is probably the better streamer. And give us just a little prediction. Should people be expecting 8 points, 10 points? Are we looking at an upside play? What's the thought on maybe the outlook here? So just people who might be deciding between this streamer, are they playing him if they need a floor? Are they playing him if they're just going super upside?
I think it's somewhere in the middle. It's really just, do you need who's in your wide receiver 3 slot? If it's Slayton versus Xavier Worthy, it's kind of a 50-50 for me, and I might go Slayton. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think he's got not a ton of floor, honestly. I guess it is more of a ceiling play the more I think about it. I have his median projection around 9 to 9.5 points, but Slayton is more of a big play guy, which makes him a little more volatile. So maybe if you're an underdog, you should go after Slayton a little bit more than some other guys.
I mean, Slayton, he's not the traditional floor archetype. He doesn't get a lot of targets, but because he's been really dynamic in making the big play, he's had a double-digit floor 3 out of the last 4 games that he's played. So I like the call. I think that's a good call, and I'm going to stick to the matchup. I'm not going to get crazy. I'm not going to stray away from the matchup that we're trying to pounce on. And believe it or not, Chris Rodriguez is my streamer of the week. You might be saying, how is Chris Rodriguez a streamer? Well, if you go on ESPN, he's only 35% rostered. That's how he's a streamer. He's not out there. He's not widely rostered. And the reason is he's just not getting any love in the passing game, which is fine. Of course, you want that out of your running back, but if Chris Rodriguez was getting 3 or 4 targets a game, he'd be 99% rostered. He would be everyone's running back too. He'd be a top 20 play across all rankings platforms. So because he's not, he's out there. He's available. And again, we like the matchup. You talked about it earlier. Second most advantageous matchup for running backs, the New York Giants possesses. They give up the second most rushing yards a game. They've given up the 5th most rushing touchdowns on the entire season. And that is where Chris Rodriguez can have a big game. A 2-touchdown game is in his range of outcomes. He's getting double-digit carries, 4 out of his last 5. He's getting a ton of red zone touches, 3, 1, 4, 3, 2. He's getting double-digit. He's getting multiple red zone carries every game. And over these last 3, I mean, he's not getting the strong side of the platoon, but that's really just by the nature of the 3 running back rotation. Bill is not the guy. Bill's not the primary back. He's not the primary option. McNichols spells at both of them at certain times. He's their primary pass catcher, I'd say, in long, third and long situations, passing, 2-minute drill stuff. So he's getting the most opportunities of the 3 running backs. It's just when some people get a little nervous seeing sub 50 from a back, but that's because he's splitting it 3 ways. And I just love this matchup. I love the matchup. We've talked how soft it is. We love the over-under. We're chasing this type of thing. And Washington is actually underdog slightly. So I don't see a situation like last week where he gets only 10 carries and then he just goes nowhere because they have to throw the ball every single play. So I don't care that Marcus Mariota's a quarterback. I think that this is the game environment that's going to be really great for Chris Rodriguez. So if I've just needed a running back 2 all year and he's sitting there on my waiver wire, I'm picking him up. I'm playing him. I'm playing him over both of the Bears running backs. How about that?
Oh, that's spicy. That's spicy. But I love the matchup, man. It bears repeating. The Giants' run defense is 3 times worse than any other run defense in football in terms of EPA per rush. It's that bad. They are a mile away from everybody else. You look at the chart, they're the dot that's way far away from the other dots because they're so bad. And then I will say very quickly on the receiving usage for Chris Rodriguez, he has not seen a ton of targets, but he is splitting routes roughly 50-50 with Jeremy McNichols. So it's not out of the question that he could get a few targets this game either.
Ooh, a little heads up from the chat. He was a DNP due to a groin injury. I didn't see that actually this afternoon. That must have came out later in the afternoon, but keep an eye out. Maybe my stream of the week is done, but fingers crossed. Full practice Thursday, stream of the week.
Yeah, keep an eye out. I would say generally don't put a ton of stock into the Wednesday injury reports. It's
Especially
a little
this time of
something, but not that much.
All right, Evan, give us your landmine of the week. And if you don't know what that means, we're saying this guy is a void, a fade, a guy that if you step on, your fantasy season is going to go poof.
This one really hurts. I'm going with Emeka Egbuka as my landmine of the week. So the Bucks wide receiver core, it's fully healthy for the first time all season. They got Godwin back. They got Evans back. They got McMillan back. But I don't think any of them are trustworthy for this Thursday night football matchup. And you know why? It's because Baker has been downright horrible for the last 2 months. Since week 7, no quarterback has a worse completion percentage over expected than Baker Mayfield. And the only quarterbacks with the worst EPA per play are J.J. McCarthy and Geno Smith. That is how bad Baker Mayfield has been for the last 2 months. Mm-hmm. When you add in Egbuka's massive disappointments in fantasy recently, I think that we should stay away from all the Bucs wide receivers in this game.
I think we're going to have a very serious, very somber conversation about Emeka Egbuka in the offseason. Because the truth is, he's been, I'm just going to say, pardon my French, he has been dog shit since week 5. You look at the numbers week 6 on this year, it's been putrid. 1 week, Evan, since week 5, he cracked the top 10 as a receiver on the week. And I can go even worse. Only 1 time has he cracked the top 32 amongst wide receivers on a weekly performance. And these targets, if you just blanked, if you put your hand in front of player profile and you didn't look at the receptions, receiving yards, fantasy points, oh my God, since weeks 12, 9, 13, 9, 8, 8, 9, the targets are fantastic.
But they are not catchable, brother.
They are the least efficient targets in the history of this sport.
They are.
Otto Graham was throwing better passes than Baker Mayfield's been throwing to Egbuka. And it's by design because he was converting a lot for touchdowns, for deep plays early in the season. That luck has luck's probably not the right term, but that conversion has tanked. You look, 12 targets, 4 receptions, 13 targets, 6 receptions, 8 targets, 3 receptions. Last week, 9 targets, 2 receptions. And you're saying not 1, but 2 receivers, good receivers, are coming back into the mix this week? So if you're telling me that if he gets 13 targets, he's only catching 6, what does it look like when he gets 4 targets? What does it look like when he gets 6 targets? Does he get 2 catches? It better be for a 50-yard touchdown or you're getting no value. Emeka Egbuka is going to be a point of contention in the offseason, and we'll see how the Buccaneers pass catches kind of does Evans leave. But if I'm the team builder, I'm bringing Evans back. He's gonna cost nothing. Where's he gonna want to go in his last season of his career? Godwin's gonna be there. McMillan's gonna be there. We're going to have some really tough conversations about Emeka Egbuka in the offseason. And unfortunately, right now, the landmine of the week for you, it's more like an atom bomb stuck on the beach. It's so obvious of an avoid. You cannot play Emeka Egbuka in week 1 of your fantasy playoffs. You just can't.
Yeah, definitely avoid Egbuka. I would suggest avoiding all Bucs wide receivers. However, really quick, I do want to push back. I don't think that hardly any of this is Emeka Egbuka's fault. Those numbers I just listed for Baker Mayfield, he is literally as bad as J.J. McCarthy over the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
As bad as J.J. McCarthy. So are we blaming
Yep.
Justin Jefferson's failures on him? No, we're blaming it on McCarthy. We should be doing the same thing for Egbuka, blaming it on Baker. He's also ranks 95th in catchable target rate among wide receivers. I just don't blame Egbuka for any of this. Baker has been a disaster over the last 2 months. He was an MVP candidate. Then I don't know what happened. Maybe it's injuries. I don't know what
it's
it is.
injuries, I would say. He looks hurt.
But he has
But I
been
mean, that's not the point.
complete dog shit.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying Egbuka is a bad player. I like Egbuka, the prospect, but it's not just Baker. It's the way they use him. Give the guy a couple screens.
True.
Get this guy in a couple slant routes. Like, get this guy give him the ball. Why does every target to Egbuka have to be he's down there somewhere, back foot, chuck it up? I don't know why they keep going this route. But again, we're going to have these conversations. But this week, make sure he's on your bench. You don't want to mess with that. My landmine is going to sound a bit shocking when I say the name, but if you've been in the trenches in this fantasy football season, you've been using this guy for a long time, Jacoby Brissett. It's time. The rooster's coming. What is it? The chickens are coming to hatch. The eggs are about to hatch. The chickens are about to be cooked. Whatever the old saying is, this is the week you avoid Jacoby Brissett. And again, you don't think of Brissett as a landmine because he's been a streamer all year, but you look at his rostership percentages, they're through the roof. He's as started as anybody. And since week 6, he has finished as QB 12 or better every single week that he has played. He has been awesome. But then you look at the old schedule and you see at Houston. And that Houston Texans defense is the stone worst matchup for opposing quarterbacks. They terrorize these quarterbacks. They rank among some of the best in sacks and sack rate. They can rush the quarterback with tremendous success with only 3 rushers. They don't have to blitz. And their secondary has been awesome this year. They give up little to no separation. I think they have the second lowest target separation metric in the league. And as a defense, they give up the least amount of points per game on the season. So it really just kind of neutralizes garbage time. And on top of all of it, the Houston Texans offense isn't that good right now. So it's not like they are projected to go up 25 or 24-0 and just let Brissett just throw a bunch of garbage time passes. I don't think we see that. I think we see a game where it is a sound 17-3 victory where the Texans destroy this offense and destroy Jacoby Brissett. So if you've been using Brissett, make other arrangements. He is my landmine of the week.
Yep, totally agree with you, man. You cannot start hardly any quarterback against the Texans, let alone Jacoby Brissett. Some quarterbacks I would rather start over Brissett this week include Kirk Cousins, Tyler Shuck, Tua, Rodgers, Fields if he plays, or Tyrod, or Bryce Young. I would start all those guys over Brissett pretty easily.
Yeah, and it sucks. It seems like the Cinderella run for Michael Wilson is going to come to a screeching halt.
We'll see. I mean, he still might get 15 targets. Maybe he only catches 5 of them, but
I do love that. I do love seeing Michael Wilson ball out this year. All right, this is the fun one, the best prediction category question, whatever you want to call it. Evan, give us your bold take for Week 15.
We're going right back to that Houston-Arizona game, and my prediction is that Woody Marks finishes as a top 12 running back this week. The Cardinals' defense allows the 4th most adjusted fantasy points to the running back position, and they're just a below-average defense by pretty much every measure. So I think that the Texans are going to be able to move the ball. It's certainly not an explosive offense, but it is pretty competent over the last month at least. Woody Marks has completely overtaken this Texans backfield. It was a 50-50 split. It used to be even in favor of Chubb, and then it was a 60-40 split. Now it's like an 80-20 split in favor of Woody Marks. He ranks 6th among all running backs in opportunity share over the last month. So he is just going to get a ton of volume in this game against a good matchup. So he's got the volume and the matchup and the game script, I think, as well. So I'm starting Woody with confidence. I think he has a lot of upside this week as well.
Woody Marks, I mean, this 2025 rookie class is so sick at running back. Woody Marks emerged. I mean, all these guys, Monungai, it just feels like a great matchup. In this matchup, for sure, we talked about the defense terrorizing the Cardinals. What really pairs well with a good defense, just doing the damn thing, is an effective running back. You get a guy who can just run the ball, slow the game down, control the clock. All that matters, especially now. I mean, the Texans are sniffing playoffs. This is a game that they cannot drop. A matchup they see on the schedule that could be a trap game in years past, but not right now. Emeka Ryan's got these. He's going to have this defense ready to go, this team ready to go. Woody Marks, fired up, baby. I like the Woody Marks call. This one's for you, Evan, because you talked about him last week. So if you want to hear Evan's analysis on this player, go back, listen to last week. But for me, my bold prediction for Week 15, Justin Jefferson is not just a wide receiver 1. He is the wide receiver 1 overall in Week 15. And it starts with the matchup, the golden matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have been putrid against wide receivers. They give up almost 17 fantasy points over the average to wide receivers this year. That's the most advantageous matchup by far. And you look at the game matchup, 47.5 over-under. Vegas thinks this game's going to shoot out. And on top of that, what really caught my eye when I was doing the research for this particular game, being in Dallas, the Vikings are almost a touchdown underdog. They're at 5.5 points, which means if Dallas can get ahead, if Dallas can score points against this Vikings defense, Jefferson's going to get a ton of targets. Jefferson is going to get a ton of targets. The Cowboys give up a ton of separation, which means easy completions from McCarthy, so we don't need to rely on McCarthy becoming Dan Marino. He could just be J.J. McCarthy because Jet is going to be open. And on top of that, if you know diva receivers, Jefferson is going to get the squeaky wheel game. Coming off a game which he only had 4 targets. He has 10 targets, 4 receptions over the last 2. It's since week 10 is his last double-digit target game. He's getting double-digit targets. He is going to be fed the ball. And if you're an analytics whiz like you, and a bro science guy like myself, we can agree on one thing. Positive regression to the mean. Right? A lot of the times, water finds its level. Justin Jefferson throughout his career. 7 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns in just 10 games in 2023. 10 touchdowns last year. Right now, he's at 2. I would bet he still finishes around 4, 5, 6. It's not going to be a landmark season. But double-digit touchdowns is on the table. So 12 targets, 9 receptions, 152. That's on the board. So my bold prediction, Justin Jefferson, Jetta, gritty on them hoes, wide receiver 1 in the week.
I love it, baby. I love it. I gave the case last week, and it completely busted. Words cannot express just how pissed I was seeing that second Josh Oliver touchdown. That got me so riled up, you just would not believe. I mean, two to Oliver and 1 to Hawkinson. Nobody was starting either of those guys in fantasy. And then, of course, Justin Jefferson gets like 11 yards or whatever it was. But I love it, man. At the end of the day, Jefferson is really good. I couldn't live with myself if I kept Justin Jefferson on the bench versus the Cowboys, and then he put up 20. I couldn't live with myself. So I think you have to start him this week.
Yeah, I believe. They get the 4:25 East. Oh no, Sunday night football. Oh my land! I didn't even realize that was prime time. Of course, what are you gonna sit Jefferson in prime time? In Jerry's world, get the F out of here. Hell
yeah,
no.
and this is probably
no.
the biggest squeaky wheel game of Jefferson's career too. There hasn't been a lot of them, so I'm all in on this, baby.
I mean, this is pure speculation, shooting from the hip. He finishes the season like he has these last 2. You bet your ass he's talking about. You hear about Justin Jefferson trade talks in the offseason. They do not want that. They want to avoid that like the plague, losing a guy like Jefferson with a young quarterback. It starts this weekend, baby. And that wraps up the segment portion of the show. But, of course, we're going to answer every single question that's in the chat. So if you have your question, if you're still here, thank you. We are going to get to it right now because it is the playoffs, baby. So let's get into the first question in the chat. Theo Johnson or Kobe Parkinson? Half point PPR.
I love Theo Johnson this week. It's a great matchup. I am playing him everywhere. We were talking about the game environment a lot. Forgot to bring up Theo, but I absolutely love Theo Johnson this week. Colby Parkinson, meanwhile, I'm just betting against it at this point. I don't see why he's getting all the touchdowns and like Terrence Ferguson and Davis Allen aren't getting the touchdowns. Nobody's really explained that to me. So I think it's just a random chance.
I agree. Addison or Flournoy, let's say if Lamb doesn't play, because I think if he does play, it's pretty obviously Addison. But if he doesn't, Flournoy or Addison, half point PPR.
Man, that's tough. I'm gonna lean Addison, just because. So this is actually a really interesting game because this is the number 1 matchup for wide receivers against the number 32 matchup for wide receivers, but also on the inverse, it is JJ McCarthy versus Dak Prescott. So I can make a case either way for sure here, but I'm going to lean Addison just because of the matchup.
Yeah, and I think with this being the case, Addison maybe gets 6 targets. Can he catch 5 of them for 70 and a touch? Like I just think that his upside was there. Double-digit points last week in that blowout against Commanders, Addison. So I don't want to fade Addison for Flournoy, even if Lamb doesn't play. But what do you think? Do you thoughts on Lamb? Does he play?
Oh, I think he was a limited participant today, which is actually a really good sign.
Great sign, yeah.
Yeah, for potentially playing this weekend. And also, by the way, T. Higgins, limited participant today, which floored me. I thought there was no chance he plays this week, but it looks like there is some chance.
Omari and Hampton, Slim Reaper or Jameson Williams, you got to sit 1.
Ooh, interesting. For me, I'm definitely starting J-Mo. That's a great game environment. We didn't talk about that, but Lions, Rams, you can start your studs there, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those I saw it and was like, what analysis am I bringing here? I'm going to play studs in a great matchup. Like, come on.
Yeah. Devontae Smith has been pretty disappointing recently, but I'm going to roll with him over Hampton just because actually, never mind. No, I have Hampton for a whole point more than Devontae Smith. That makes sense. Yeah, I'll go with Hampton.
Yeah,
just volume based.
So you're sitting Slim Reaper?
Yeah, sitting Slim. Yeah.
I think that it's
love
just hard. The player.
Yeah, this is a really hard decision.
It's hard to do,
but I will say
the Raiders aren't the worst defense either. They're not a good defense, but they're not like a pushover defense.
Yeah, I was thinking about that game today, and I just expect the Eagles to really sit on the ball and just play ultra conservative like we saw them do earlier in the season, just coming off of that Jalen Hurts disaster class from Monday night. I think they're just maybe going to throw the ball 15 times. So I don't want their pass catchers, except maybe AJ Brown's been hot, so you have to start him. But
yeah, but it's funny their tank on their season coincides with getting him the ball more. Like when he wasn't getting the targets, they were dominant, and now he's getting all the targets. Great for his fantasy guys. I got him in a bunch of teams. Love it. Not great.
Actually, I think I'm going to be updating my rankings tomorrow and just lean into that narrative that the Eagles are they're just going to protect the football in this game. Ultra conservative.
They got to win this game. Got to win this game. Do we have confidence in Baker Thursday night with Evans back?
No, I do not. Stats I mentioned earlier, he is the worst quarterback since week 7 in completion percentage over expected, and only better than McCarthy and Geno in EPA per dropback since week 7. I have no confidence in Baker at this point. It looks like he is just fully cooked for this season. In fantasy, I would still start him over guys like McCarthy or Caleb in a bad game environment, or Sam Darnold, CJ Stroud, but I don't love it.
Sorry, I just got like something stuck in my throat there. Waller or Kincaid?
I prefer Kincaid if he plays. He just he's a bigger portion of the offense than Darren Waller is. Dalton Kincaid can get there without scoring touchdowns. Darren Waller, you absolutely need touchdowns.
Yeah, the Waller, it's been a bit of a fugazi since he's come back. It is really not a volume to sink your teeth through. I think he had 9 points when he scored. And the Patriots have had issues covering athletic tight ends, so there's a chance Kincaid sneaks out. I do like Kincaid better than Waller this week. Josh Jacobs DNP today. Would you drop a Reed?
Would a Reed drop to should he drop Jaden Reed to pick up Emmanuel Wilson?
Yeah,
That's
okay.
what he's asking.
Yep, okay.
Let's see. Puka, Ted McMillan, T. Higgins, Michael Wilson are his receivers. I think I would. It's tough. I really like rostering both those Packers. I guess I would lean Reed just based on this receiver room looking a little weak to me.
Yeah, that was kind of where I'm hung up on because I still think Jacobs plays. I don't have I have no qualms about him playing, so I don't think it's worth it. And with Higgins being kind of on the fence and Wilson in a nightmare situation, you might want that receiver Reed. But in a nutshell, I'm not really opposed to dropping Reed if Chris Rodriguez is out there in your streamer, even Darius Slayton. Let's ask this: would you rather start Darius Slayton or Jaden Reed?
Probably Darius Slayton. Jaden Reed looked good in his one game, but we know that Packers wide receiver usage is just not trustworthy. Darius Slayton is going to be on the field in a great game environment, so give me that guy.
Start one: Lamar Jackson or Brock Purdy. I cannot believe we're here in the fantasy playoffs.
I get it, man. Lamar has obviously been really disappointing recently, but he's my quarterback one this week against the Bengals. It's more of a result of there just not being a ton of awesome quarterback matchup fits this week. But Lamar versus the Bengals, that's money. You got to start him.
Yeah, and even last week, it wasn't Purdy, but he was QB7 on the week.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Lamar, too, over Purdy. Purdy, I mean, could they win that game by passing the ball 12 times? I mean,
yeah, totally.
Chris McCaffrey and Brian Robinson could win by themselves in Wildcat all day.
Yeah, this could be a Purdy get-right game. I could totally see it. But I can also see them just not using Purdy at all because they don't have to.
JT at Seattle. Would you pivot to a Tyler Tracy or Chris Rodriguez, half-point PPR? So you're going to trust Jonathan Taylor, or are you going to use one of these streamers?
Absolutely brutal. Imagine seeing this question a month ago. I think it's a legitimate question too. Like
it's not bad. Yeah,
I don't blame you for asking at all. Personally, I know the matchup sucks. I know the offense probably sucks. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to get 25 to 30 carries in this game, so I'm going to go with him. Mm-hmm. Even though, like we were talking up the Chris Rodriguez matchup, it's awesome. I want to start him if I can, but not over Jonathan Taylor. He's the guy who got you here. I think you got to ride him.
Yeah, tough situation or not, it only takes one crease, one chance. Jonathan Taylor to the biscuit. He's having such a good year.
If you leave JT on your bench, you don't deserve to win,
Enough said. And I'm assuming this is defense, Patriots, or Chicago's DST.
Pulling it up real quick, but I'm pretty sure it's Chicago. Yeah. Chicago by a lot.
So Chicago, what about pick 'em? What if it's a survivor pool question? Are you going to pick the Patriots or the Bears?
I'm going Bears.
Yeah, it's Bears for both.
For sure.
Bears both. All right, we have a full-point PPR. Juwan Johnson or Andrews at tight end, Watson or Hunt in flex, Dak or Dart. Let's answer these three questions rapid-fire style.
Okay, it is Mark Andrews really easily for me. I have him in my tight end 3 this week in a elite matchup. I'm going to go quarterback next, Dak or Dart. I have Dart ranked higher. He's got the better matchup. We love that game environment like we were discussing earlier. Mm-hmm. Hunt versus Watson. What are your thoughts there?
I'm going to go Watson over Hunt. I mean, it's just, what do you get with Hunt? You need a touchdown. You need it. And at what point do the Chiefs just go, Pacheco has to have more juice? Like, Kareem Hunt, what juice does he bring? What does he have?
He doesn't need to have juice. It works. in terms of EPA, he is an awesome running back. The short yardage stuff is elite.
Yeah.
I'm actually going with Kareem Hunt here. I don't trust Christian Watson versus the Broncos. I mean, he's probably going to be matched up with Pat Surtain quite a bit. I don't like that. I just don't like Jordan Love in this Packers offense going up against the Denver defense. I don't trust it. I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. Must-win game, obviously. He's going to get the volume. I know he needs a touchdown, but if they get to the 3-yard line, you guess who's getting the touchdown? It's going to be Kareem Hunt.
So we got Hunt, Andrews, and Dart. Let's do it. Fairbairn or Myers this week? It's got to be Myers. Myers has been so good this year.
This is another team that I think is going to be ultra conservative this week in a different way is the Seahawks. They know that they're going to beat the Colts this week. It's not even a discussion. So they're not going for these 4th downs. They're just going to kick the field goal. They did this a couple weeks ago against JJ McCarthy. Just kick the field goal, kick the field goal, kick the field goal, and Myers is going to end up with like 15 fantasy points.
Yeah, and especially too, you look at the Vegas implied total, 28 points. You start kickers with a Vegas implied total near 30. So we're going to go with Myers. Seattle against the Colts or Houston's defense? Two great options here.
Yeah, 2 great options, but Seattle is my DST 1 this week by quite a bit. This is arguably the best matchup of the season, I would say, for any DST.
I am also, though, I'm not dropping Houston's. I'm rostering the 2 defense. I'm not going to give my competition a chance at the Houston's D because they have other good matchups in the playoffs. But the Seattle one,
they get Vegas next week. So
yeah, and I think even week
I think
week 17 ain't bad either, right? It's a decent matchup.
Yeah.
Or is it the Colts?
It's the Chargers.
Colts is week 18. Okay, so Chargers. Yeah, but I mean,
yeah.
That defensive line, rush against that offensive line, 10 sacks? Yes, please. So you don't get rid of Houston.
Yeah, and the Seahawks have the Rams next week, so you don't want to start them. So, keep both of them and then flip them next week. Start Seattle this week, Houston next week.
Yeah. In Seattle's defense, they do take the ball away. They do make plays. So it's not like they're just going to shut out the Colts but do nothing to get there, just play good D. No, they're going to get sacks, turnovers, potentially score. Special teams has been great, too, with Shaheed last week, taking one to the house. Seattle would be my defense this week, too. Would you start Shuck or Bryce Young in a Superflex?
I like Bryce Young here. It is pretty close, but I like Bryce.
Me, too. Jaden Higgins or Colston Loveland?
I actually thought about bringing up Jaden Higgins earlier on in the show. I like him a lot this week, and we mentioned that we're fading all of the pass catchers in that Bears-Browns game. So give me Jaden Higgins pretty easily here.
Same thing. I'm going with Higgins. Sit 1 in an 8-team half-point PPR. Jefferson, JSN, Pickens. Also, we have another question. Start 1 in that same league. So let's start with the awful decision of sitting a receiver out of these 3 studs.
Yeah, I'm in an 8-team league as well. It can be absolutely brutal with these start sits. I think we have to sit Jefferson. You can't take JSN out of your lineup, and I would argue you can't take Pickens out of your lineup at this point either. I'm sitting Jefferson.
I think if the bold take that I said early in the show makes me want to go and sit Pickens, but
I'm tempted as well. But just look at the fantasy points,
Chi-Town D, this is the real answer to your question. Get 2 more friends. Get 4 more friends. Get 6 more friends. Beef this league up because this start-sit question would absolutely drive me up a wall. And then we also have start 1 of Javonte, ETN, or JT.
Start 1. Okay, I have Javonte here. It's not an awesome matchup, but I just trust this Dallas offense to put up a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. So I'm going to go that route, even though I do really like ETN's matchup this week. Javonte just projects much better from a volume perspective and is on the better offense.
It's his son's league. He's 9, so that's cool.
Okay.
Have a couple more kids. Okay, Chi-Town, have 2 more kids so you can get the 10-team league and get away from these starts. Flex 1, Godwin, Shakir, Singletary. You can also get waivers for tight end like Waller, Johnson. And then we have a big question. But let's start here. Flex 1 of this Godwin, Shakir, Singletary, or Waller, Johnson are also options.
Yeah, so I'm fading all the Bucs receivers, so I can't start Godwin. And I don't want to start the backup running back in Singletary. I'm going to go with Khalil Shakir. I don't love it, but, he is technically the wide receiver 1 for Buffalo. I think he projects somewhat well, but obviously doesn't have the ceiling. If you are looking for ceiling, you might want to go in the Theo Johnson direction, honestly.
I agree.
So, yeah, it's between those 2 for me. The floor is Shakir. The ceiling is Theo. And then we get the quarterback question, Burrow versus May. I have these 2 right back-to-back in my rankings, but May 1 spot higher.
I am going to go Burrow. I talked about my trepidation breaking ties against that matchup, but you will not. I am not. This is maybe one of the only matchup decisions that would cause a conundrum in my brain for May. May's been dynamite, absolutely electric. So if you want to go May, listen to Evan. I have no qualms about it at all. Baker, Darnold, Stroud, or Shuck 4-point per passing TD.
I don't think Baker is any good, but I will take Baker here. I think that from a fantasy perspective, he is the best quarterback out of this bunch.
PPR, Kincaid or Henry, Goddard or Strange. Let's answer it two separate, and then we'll pick our favorite overall.
I have it ranked as Kincaid, Henry. Let's see, what was the other one?
Goddard or Strange.
Yeah, okay. Kincaid, Henry, Strange, Goddard is how I have it ranked.
So Kincaid, if we're splitting it, in Strange, and then if it's one overall, it's Kincaid. We're gonna go with this week.
Yep.
Luther Burden or Jaden Reed?
Rest of season has to be Luther Burden. I will say that the next two games are outdoors in Chicago, which I don't love.
Hate that.
But these two guys are very similar players, but we can trust Luther Burden to be a bigger portion of his offense than Jaden Reed, I believe.
Completely agree with that. Need two, Michael Wilson, Mike Evans, Ginty, Christian Watson, Mark Andrews, maybe one of the toughest questions we've gotten so far tonight. Bringing out a pick two. It is a TEP. TEP, so that's on the table now, baby.
I'm sitting Mike Evans. I'm starting Ashton Ginty for sure. He's just been getting absurd receiving volume recently. I think you have to start him. So it comes down to me, Christian Watson versus Mark Andrews. In tight end premium, I think I'm going with Mark Andrews here. I have him projected for 11.8 in PPR. So in tight end premium, that's like 14 or 15 probably. I like that. I like him quite a bit. Like I said earlier, the best matchup of all time for tight ends is the Cincinnati Bengals of 2025.
I agree. It sounds kind of icky, yucky, caca-poo-poo, but I'm going Ginty. I'm going Andrews here. Monty, Warren, or Wandale for the flex spot?
Definitely Warren or Wandale. I'm riding Wandale. I have him inside of my top 20 receivers actually this week. It's a great spot. He's been getting absurd volume, and we've just been fawning about this game environment all episode.
Yeah, we can't gush about guys like Darius, Slayton, Hodgins,
right.
Theo Johnson, and then poo-poo the number one wide receiver in this offense.
Yeah, the guy getting a 35% target share. Yeah, should probably start that guy.
Yeah, we're going to go with Wandale in a matchup that we absolutely love. Top two bench pickups of the week, 16-17 PPR. Algier, B-Rob, Wright, or Gainwell. So all these guys on the wire. So we're saying top two. So pick two of these guys that he could stash.
Okay. Yeah, this is tough. Obviously, Jalen Wright would not be in this conversation unless just because of the Achane injury. We don't know what's going to happen. We're expecting him to play. So I'm going to go against the Jalen Wright just because I don't think he's that great of a handcuff, period. Algier and B-Rob are much more pure handcuffs with tremendous upside if the one goes down. And then Gainwell is really just a flex play. I guess he does have big handcuff upside as well, but he's already a flex play. So I would definitely pick up Gainwell. And then between Algier and B-Rob, I lean B-Rob. I just like that offense a little bit more.
I'm 100% with you on Gainwell, but I'm going to go with Algier because if there isn't anything that happens to the starting running back, you still have guys you might be able to start.
True.
So I think I'm just going to take that and then just hope, that it doesn't happen because I think, but for me, Gainwell's the number one guy I want. You can play him no matter what, and we've seen him go nuclear without Jalen Warren. So it might not be the prettiest, but it's definitely going to be effective. Dart over Lamar, is that too spicy?
I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I can't really blame you. Dart's been just a fucking stud this year, so I can't blame anyone for putting him in. But I would not do it.
I wouldn't do it either. I think at this point you keep your studs, and you kind of look at all outcomes, do the Doctor Strange, 14 million different outcomes in your brain, your eyes start flickering, all that stuff. And if Dart gets 20 and Lamar goes for 42 on my bench, I'm sick. If Lamar gets 20 and Dart goes for 42 on my bench, I'm like, chalk it up.
Exactly.
Start 2 running backs and a 1 flex. Bucky, Woody Marks, Travion, Chuba Hubbard, and Michael Wilson.
I think this is super simple, honestly. It's just the first 3 you listed. Bucky, Woody, Henderson.
Completely agree with that.
I don't think the other 2 are even in the conversation, to be honest.
I agree. Should I consider starting Jalen Warren and Gainwell and sitting RJ Harvey this week? I could also flex McConkey or Egbuka, but I feel like I want to stick with the running back. So let's make this a little bit easy on him, and we'll start here. Are you sitting AJ Harvey for both of the Pittsburgh Steelers running backs?
No, I don't feel comfortable starting both Steelers running backs, especially over RJ Harvey. I am a little skeptical of getting Sean Payton here. It is a prime opportunity for Sean Payton to really fuck us. But I think you just have to ride with Harvey at this point, and definitely Warren over Gainwell.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm gonna do that as well. Because Harvey, he kind of did try to pork us in week 13.
Yeah.
And Harvey had still 21 fantasy points, running back 2 in the week. So it's like I'm not calling the guy bulletproof because it's a tough matchup, but he's electric enough. And 10 targets over these last 2 weeks, I don't see that really kind of decreasing all that much. So I'm going to go with Warren. I'm going to go with Harvey. But last question here, should he put McConkey or Egbuka in over one of these guys?
Nope. Give me the running back.
I agree. Stick with the running backs. Pickens, Waddle, Jameson Williams, I'm starting as well. Okay, so that was part of the last question. Well,
nice. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I love those guys. I love every single one of those guys this week.
You're doing
so that's
the right
going to help
thing.
you big time. Broncos or Niners DST?
Oh, Broncos. They have who they got?
Green
this
Bay.
week? Green Bay. No. Give me San Fran. Yeah, give me San Fran versus Tennessee. That's just the dream matchup, pretty much.
Yeah, and they're coming off a bye, so they're theoretically a little healthier, a little more energy. They're going to come put the whoop down on the Titans, so I'm going to go that route for sure. Strange and Schultz or Fannin. So who are you starting out of? Strange, Dalton Schultz, or Fannin? Who do you like best?
Fannin on the waiver wire. Interesting. I am going to go Fannin over these guys. I don't feel great about it. We were talking about that game not being the greatest for pass catchers, but at the end of the day, Harold Fannin has like a 28% target share with Shedeur Sanders under center. So I think you got to ride that.
Last question of the Week 15 episode of the Game Plan Superflex. Would you start Riley Leonard or Kenny Pickett? Or would you not start a Superflex in this matchup?
Oh, brutal. Oh, my God. This is brutal. So this comes down to Kenny Pickett or Deebo Samuel, and I'm going with Deebo. I'm going with Deebo. Just love the game environment. I want pieces of it.
We've been talking about it all night. I've been talking about Deebo for weeks. I'm not shying away. Give me Deebo because you see these super flex. You see sleeper projections, and you see that they don't ever tank quarterback projections on sleepers. So I get the trepidation here. Riley Leonard and Kenny Pickett smell. They stink.
Yeah.
They're not going to – Deebo could get 20. Could you see either of these quarterbacks get 20 fantasy points? I can't.
I cannot.
So I'm going Deebo. I'm going with you. It's Deebo. A quick bonus one. I think we both know the answer. Andrews or Strange. It's Andrews, right?
Smash Andrews. Start him in all your lineups.
That's it. That's going to do it. The Week 15, a.k.a. the quarterfinals, a.k.a. the first round of the fantasy playoffs. The Game Plan, Evan Ringler, Matty Kiwoom. Catch you next week for the semifinal edition of the Game Plan. We will see you next week. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.